The next session will be moderated by Engineer Andrew Amalados, past chairman of IEM Sabah branch 1999 to 2001, also the MD for Powing Consult, honorary secretary of Renewable Energy Association of Sabah. So with that, I welcome Engineer Andrew to moderate paper 7. Over to you, Engineer Andrew.
Thanks, Narayani.
You're welcome.
The next paper which I've been asked to moderate is titled Palm Oil with Power or Power Plant with Palm Oil, which will be presented by Mr. Raymond Chia, Chief Operating Officer, Green Lagoon Technology, Sendirian Berhad. Raymond is a qualified civil engineer with over 24 years experience in the construction industry. And he has been responsible for the construction and commissioning of more than 30 biogas projects to date. He was also previously involved with site improvement works, as well as operations, maintenance, and monitoring, but today spends most of his time in business development. So over to you, Raymond.
Hello, and a very, very good afternoon to you. I hope you managed to sneak in some lunch in between our sessions. Okay, I know that after lunch is the most tiring part, right? Because it's the most, that's where we all feel tired, you know. So I hope that I can continue to keep your interest here. I'm going to share my screen right now. Hopefully you can see it. Can someone please indicate if you can see it?
Yes, we can see it. Maybe you want to.
Sorry, okay, just let me close this one. Sorry. I'm trying to close this. Okay, is this better?
It's good now.
It's good now, yeah. Okay. Okay, thanks first of all to the organizers of the conference. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. It's a difficult time right now. All of us are stuck at home or trying our best to keep sane. So I hope that we can enjoy this conference together. We can have a good conference, yeah, even though we are doing it online. Okay, now let me just start with a bit of introduction about myself. I'm the COO of Green Lagoon Technology, and I've been involved in biogas projects in Malaysia for many years. Together with my business partners, we built Green Lagoon since 2010. We wanted to celebrate our 10th anniversary last year, but unfortunately the MCO and all the problems did not allow us to have a celebration. Okay, so when we talk about Sabah, let me just start by saying that I absolutely love Sabah. I fell in love with Sipadan Island and also with Mount Kinabalu when I climbed it in 2001. And unfortunately, my Sabahan love interest from my university days didn't love me back. So Tunku will be very glad to know that I actually married a girl from Negeri Sembilan instead. Okay, that's Sabah. Now, my topic for today is about palm oil with power or power plant with palm oil. So this is a rhetorical question, but I think it needs to be answered. And I hope that my presentation can give us an idea about what are some of the things that we can actually derive from the renewable energy sector in Sabah. I am a very firm believer that renewable energy should always be based on what is available, or rather, we tap the resources that are available. So let me give you some examples. For example, if you're living near the desert, now obviously sunlight is something that's going to be abundant. So it's very natural for us to put in solar panels. If your area has a lot of rivers, then we talk about, hydro or mini hydros. And if we live in an area where we have strong tides and wind, tidal energy, which is not very popular at the moment, but I believe it is something that will happen in time to come. And of course, wind energy from wind. So all of these are renewable resources that are available, and we tap on the resources that are in the locality. So when we look at Malaysia, or in particular, when we look at Sabah, the obvious standout to me has got to be palm oil. So to me, palm oil is a very good resource for renewable energy. And let me explain why. When we look at Sabah as an entity, or as a location on its own, Sabah is the third largest palm oil producer in the world, behind Indonesia, obviously, and the Peninsular Malaysia. Sabah alone contributes between 9 to 12% of the world's crude palm oil. And with over 1.5 million hectares cultivated already for palm oil, plus 124 palm oil mills as at 2018, you can see then that, everywhere you go, if you travel along any of the major roads in Sabah, it is very obvious that you can see palm oil, rows and rows of palm oil. And so to me, this is a renewable resource that is available in Sabah. Let me elaborate further. Now, of course, some countries in the West will dispute that. I've had people say that to my face as well, right? They say, how can palm oil, be a renewable resource? But I firmly disagree with them. I think that palm oil is here to stay. In fact, we look at this article that was written in December 2018 in a National Geographic magazine. It clearly, the topic is clear. It says that the topic is palm oil is unavoidable. So the question is, can it be sustainable? Now, this article speaks mostly about the country of Gabon. Gabon is a very small West African country. That's where the football player Albi Mayang comes from, if you know football. And in this article focuses on Gabon, but it also talks about the issues or the problems that are faced by Indonesia and in Malaysia. And in this article, it is very clear that they said that, look, we cannot avoid palm oil. Palm oil is inevitable. Palm oil is the highest yielding of all the edible oils, food grade, edible food grade oil. And in fact, it is proven that palm oil needs only half the amount of land to produce the same amount of oil as compared to other crops. So the question is not that, whether palm oil can or cannot be sustainable or renewable, but rather what can we do to make palm oil sustainable? So I think this is a resource that is very much available in Sabah, and I think it has been very untapped at the moment. Let me go on a bit further. Now, if you look at the palm oil industry on its own, we talk about, coming from the estate, going into, where they grow or plant the palm oil, and they extract the fruits, the fresh fruit bunch, and then they transport it to the palm oil mill. Now, just along the way, there are already so many potential renewable energy resources. We talk about the palm tree trunks, we talk about the fronds, we talk about the empty fruit bunch that comes out from the palm oil mill. And all of these are biomass, right? And these are fully available. And then, of course, we talk about after we process the palm oil from the mills, we're talking about the effluent. Call it palm oil mill effluent, or POME for short. And that's where we can, the palm oil effluent, which is very high in organic content, then becomes a resource for methane generation. So the degradation of POME over time will produce methane. And methane is actually a renewable resource, and it can be used for power generation, or we can perhaps one day bottle it and sell it. So as you can see, there's a whole I don't think it's called a circular economy, but you can see that there's this whole circular where all the fruits and all the items from the palm oil industry can actually be reused or reutilized for energy or for other products. Today, Green Lagoon technology focuses just on the biogas part, where we extract the biogas from the pomade. I believe my colleague, my good friend, Dato Leong Kin Man, tomorrow he will speak more about biomass. So I'm not going to steal his thunder. And obviously, I'm not much of an expert in biomass either. So I think we'll leave that for him to speak on. But when you talk about just purely the kind of work that we do, what we do is that we capture the biogas that is produced, and then we generate electricity. These are some of the projects that we have been involved in. These are West Malaysia projects. These are some of the project sites and some of the projects that we have participated in. And some of these sites we own because we have the feed-in tariff mechanism. So we are selling power to the grid also. We have also been involved in projects in Indonesia and also East and West, East Malaysia, there is Sabah and Sarawak. So these are some of, if I can say it that way, these are our credentials in terms of harnessing the available renewable energy resource. So these are some of the opportunities. And I think to me, this is, I call it a treasure trove because it's not been fully explored. And of course, what Green Lagoon is doing is just a very small part. And I believe that there are still so many opportunities to explore in Sabah. Now, I just want to take this, I borrowed this slide from a good friend of mine from Haji Adan from Menseling Group. So I told him that I'll give thanks and credit to him. He did some research on some of the palm oil mills in Sabah. And this is the map of what it looks like. As you can see, a lot of the palm oil mills are actually situated or sited along the eastern seaboard of Sabah. And in the eastern seaboard, and overall in Sabah, we're talking about 124 palm oil mills. Majority of them are on the East Coast. And the potential, if you look at biogas, which I'm just putting a conservative figure of say 2 megawatts from biogas and 8 megawatt from biomass, we're talking about potentially 1 gigawatt of electricity available from Sabah. And that's huge, right? And there is no doubt in my mind that the technology is available to harness the biogas and biomass. And the potential benefits are super, super immense and huge, right? I'm just scratching the surface when I'm talking about some of the benefits. I'm talking about the diesel subsidy displacement. I think we all do know that Sabah still relies on diesel for their electricity generation. And we talk about rural electrification. I think that's something that all politicians talk about, but are unable to do at the moment. And we talk about creating technical jobs for the rural folk. So instead of concentrating all the concentrating all the technical jobs in the big cities, now we are able to create technical jobs also in the rural areas. And by that, by just a simple act like this, we actually help to raise the socioeconomic standard and the standard of living in rural Sabah. So this is what's available, right? These are the facts and figures that we have gathered, and then we look at what is available. Look at the electricity supply. This is taken from, unfortunately, I do not have the latest because I looked through Suruhanjaya Tenaga's website, and this is what's available. That's based on 2018. I wish they had something more updated, but this is what I managed to glean from Suruhanjaya Tenaga. And we can see that, as I mentioned, as you see in my previous slide, there are a lot of palm oil mills on the eastern seaboard. And at the very same time, you look at what is the shortage that is being experienced on the eastern seaboard. We look at Sandakan and they are negative 60 megawatt. We look at Lahad Datu, it's negative 50 plus megawatts. And we look at Semporna and Tawau, together they are almost 30 megawatts. And yet at the same time, right, palm oil mills and palm oil plantations are there. To me, it's like renewable energy is hiding in plain sight. It's like it's there, but no one's tapping it. So it's quite sad, but yet I think on the other hand, this is an opportunity to explore something for Sabah. So the question then is that how do we bring this, the palm oil mills, to this? So to me, I think the whole question is about connectivity. How connected the electricity infrastructure is to be able to tap to the renewable energy potential that is available in Sabah. So I think that's the question. And so if I can conclude, I go back to the original topic, title of my talk today is it palm oil with power, or is it actually a power plant? Potentially, yeah. We're talking about a power plant that produces palm oil. So when we look at this as a rhetorical question, then we begin to see that, actually, there are a lot of opportunities. And if I can conclude further, I think palm oil is not going to go away. It's going to be ever present. And at the same time, the needs of electricity are there. So now how do we bring these two elements together? Technically, I think biogas and biomass, they are no longer, to me, they are no longer any technical or technological barriers. I think the technology is there. It has been proven over the years by various parties that it is viable to do. And so the question now is just simply this: how do we bring connectivity in Sabah to the renewable energy so that we can tap the renewable energy? All right. So with that, I hope that my short talk here will at least pique some interest in some of us, and especially, to the people in authority. You guys got the opportunity to make something happen, make something great happen in Sabah. So with that, I believe that this conference today is just a beginning for Sabah, and there's a long way to go. So I end my talk here, so I'll hand over back to the moderator. So if there are any questions.
Okay, Raymond, thanks for that quick presentation. I know you want to leave a bit more time for the questions. Okay, a question here. Can you please comment on the overall net greenhouse gas impact, considering land use change from rainforest into conventional palm operations? How does the net greenhouse gas impact change with use of biogas and biomass plants?
Okay, again, I am not an expert in biomass, so I think I'll leave that. I think you can ask the question to Dr. Leong tomorrow. But
yeah, I'm moderating him tomorrow as well. Yeah.
Yeah, you can ask him that question. For me, okay, we have done a simple study for biogas, a 2 megawatt biogas plant. And so there are two parts here. Number one, there's the methane destruction. That means we avoid methane being released to the atmosphere. And a 2 megawatt plant, we are talking about something in the region of 30 to 35,000 metric ton equivalent of carbon being, that means we stop it from being sent out to the atmosphere. And at the same time, when we talk about fossil fuel replacement, because we are obviously putting some, we are replacing, we are putting renewable energy to replace the fossil fuel. So that comes up, that calculates to also about 20 to 25,000. So when we talk about just the biogas project, we're talking about mitigating about 50 to 60,000 tons of carbon CO2 equivalent into the atmosphere. So I think that is a plus. Unfortunately, I don't have the figures on the what palm oil does on the land and all that. So I think that one you have to ask the palm oil millers. So we are interested in telling the palm oil millers that, look, you can potentially reduce 50 to 60,000 CO2 equivalent per year from the atmosphere. So I think that's got to be a good thing.
Okay. Another question which has been posted. It says, can palm oil, but I think they also mean, can palm oil or pommy be used to produce biomethanol?
Okay, very good question. I think today the biomethanol is actually being produced from palm oil, the crude palm oil itself, rather than from pommy. So I think pommy does not have enough of the necessary, the necessary ingredients to be converted to biomethanol. So unless some technology will be developed in time to come. But as of today, I think it is not.
Okay, thanks. Another question. What is the expected IRR or returns that can be expected from biogas projects?
I smell my competitor asking that question. Okay, for a 1 megawatt plant, obviously now because we have to go for e-bidding, for biogas, we need to bid for the prices. So it depends on how much you actually bid. It's just like the solar, right? How much you actually bid. But it should be, for a 1 megawatt plant, it should be in the region of 7 to 8 years. And for a 2 megawatt, it should be about maybe 4 to 5 years. Based on the current, the way we see the trend of the bidding for the projects. Yeah, I hope I didn't reveal too much to my competitors here.
I'm sure you didn't. A lot of the emphasis on your presentation was on, here you have this potential renewable resource of energy sitting almost at your backyard, almost, and you have demand for electricity as well. So there's no doubt that there is demand and that there is supply, but how do we connect? Personally, having handled biomass projects in Sabah before, the big question is one of the grid connectivity.
Correct.
The palm oil mills somehow are located remote from the SASB grid. So who will pay for the connection? Will that'll definitely increase my capex and drop my returns. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the idea has been mooted over the years, and I'm basically flogging a dead horse here because this idea is not mine. It was presented by various parties, and it has been brought up a lot of the times. I think if it is allowed, I do believe that there are people who are willing to invest to create this grid so that all the palm oil mills can go in. And then they were talking about something like paying a small tariff, like a toll like that. You build a highway. Yeah, you build a highway, and then all the palm oil mills that want to connect to this highway,
you pass through connection. Yeah.
All right. You just pay a toll for it. I think that the question here is whether, and I think there are people who want to do it. Yeah, I really do believe that. In fact, I know some people who are willing to invest to create this. but I think it's a lot got to do with whether we have the will to do it or not. So yeah, to me that's the only thing, right? Again, this is not from me, because I've heard this being shared a couple of years ago, and even the slide that I took from Menslin, even they say that, you know, it has been explored many times over the last
the
6 to 8
so-called green
years.
grid.
Yeah, it's been talked about, and I think that is the thing, right? We have been talking and how can we put in the actions?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hop on to some more questions, Raymond. What is the emission standard in Malaysia for biogas plants?
Whoa.
Is there a specific standard?
No. Even the method of calculation. Now, okay. When I mentioned the CO2 equivalent, and I mentioned just now, it's actually based on a very, very strict standard that was set by UNFCCC. That's the United Nations Framework for Climate Change Convention. So they have this very complex calculation, and I think they are very strict on how you measure the emissions. So Malaysia, I think we just adopted, because we were signatories to the Kyoto Protocol. So we can use those figures. And in fact, I've heard of some people who actually asked the question whether we can sell this as voluntary credits. And I was told that the method of measurement is still based on the UNFCCC methodology. So I think that methodology has been proven over the time, and so people want to have. I think everyone's just, you know, go for something that they're familiar with. So that's the familiar thing. Yeah.
So I would just say that for those who are interested in that, you can refer to the UNFCCC website. I'm sure they have something on the emission standards. Another question. Typical capacity factor of a biogas power plant.
Typical okay. Now obviously
you're using gas engines, I suppose.
Yes, we are. Now a lot of it has to do with obviously the feedstock for our biogas is the biogas plant is the biogas, and we can only get biogas from processing the FFB. So all these are interlinked. So if the mill is not processing, then obviously we don't have the gas, and therefore we can't sell the power. But in general, if the mill is reasonably operating at a reasonable quantity, I would say that we right now in our company, we are achieving about 7,800 to 8,000 hours, operating hours a year.
Oh, that's very high.
Yeah, that's about, 70, it's about 85 to 90, 85%. So that's what we are achieving today. But again, it's dependent on the palm oil mills. So we have to thank the palm oil mills for that.
All right. Okay. Another question here. I think this will need to be the last question because of time constraints. Can the methane be liquefied?
Definitely, the answer is yes. But I would go so far as to say you will need a lot of energy because you need to cool it down and put in a lot of pressure to achieve in the liquefied state. So where are you going to get the energy from? Where else, to me, the energy is already there. So why not just use what's available? So that would be my thought about it. But yeah, you can liquefy.
Yes. All right.
Absolutely.
Okay. I hope, we can't take any more further questions because of time constraint. Thank you very much, Raymond.
Thank you.
Very informative. And it was a good interaction and discussion with the delegates. So can I go back to Puan Noraini now, please?
Thank you, Engineer Andrew and Mr. Raymond. So